Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. What a show we got lined up. Tokyo Brandon's going to join us. We're going to talk some baseball. Hopefully, we'll race through it because it's football season. Ralph Michaels will be on. He's going to look at Kansas State and BYU. Also, the Pittsburgh LA Chargers game. And he's got an NFL System of the Week. Winless road teams off a home loss. Steve Merrill's going to end the show. Tigers at Royals, Iowa at Minnesota. It's betting time. Terrible slogan. Teddy, what's your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown NFL Sunday. We'll talk about the Seahawks and the Dolphins. And in What Bettors Learn, we'll talk about what the purpose of this show actually is. So stay tuned for that. It'll be fun. Lawrence?
I'm curious. Guys, your daily presidential address, pick an NFL game in the chat room. Let me know which one you want me to take apart. That'll be the game that we do. Okay. Tokyo Brandon, everyone. In Tokyo, you know I play with you. I kid with you. You know how much love I have for you. I consider you a betting god. And I know that you think baseball is the be-and-all of life, which is fine. You do hand out free money, so we will continue to have you on because raining money is what this show is all about. Or maybe not. We'll find out during Teddy's What Did Bettors Learn. Blue Jays and Rangers, where are we going?
I like football just like the next guy. I just can't make money betting it. I'm sure there are talented people who can, but I can't. But I love watching it. Football is great to watch. I love watching the Eagles get beat the other day. That was fun. But today we're talking about baseball for the time being, because I have a special going on, which is my baseball regular season for free. If you purchase my postseason, we'll put the details up in just a moment, but it's at my page at WagerTalk.com. First, let's talk about Blue Jays Rangers, though. These are two teams that basically have nothing to play for. They both have losing records, but actually, one of these pitchers today, Bowden Francis, just amazing. He's a guy that most people probably never heard of. He's given away a couple of earned runs to some good teams, but when he plays bad teams, he's just on. He gave 3 runs to the Phillies the other day, but aside from that game, he's just on. He's an amazing pitcher. He's got a little bit of a high ERA, but his whip is 0.93 in a bunch of starts. But I really like him today because the Rangers, despite being the World Series defending champions, they're hitting 20th out of 30 teams. They're in a quagmire here as far as their hitting, and they have a bottom 3 bullpen. But what I really like about this game is Cody Bradford as well. He is in the first part of the season, a little rough, but at home, he's got a 4-1 record with a sub-3 ERA. So I like both of these pitchers today. And both hitters, both lineups, a little bit of a funk. I don't like either bullpen, but I do like the first 5 under here. So I found a 4.5 under at DraftKings, and I really like that. So the free play for the show here is first 5 innings under 4.5, because I really like Bowden Francis. I really like Cody Bradford at home. So I think we're going to see a very minuscule score in the first half of this game. That's the first play for the show.
We had 21 runs scored between these two teams last night. Both teams, I believe, went over the total by themselves or came close. We've got Bowden coming off a 111 pitch effort in which a no-no got spoiled in the 9th inning. Is Bowden I mean, you know, to me, there's red flags everywhere when we're talking about an under 4.5 first 5. You have 2 lineups that teed off yesterday, and you have a pitcher who's been pitching great, but coming off 8 innings of no-no. And, of course, you know, one of the worst bad beats all come on unders. 1-0 into the 9th inning, 6-2 final as he got, you know, he gave up the, Sholo shot to open the 9th to Lindor. But do you worry about a pitcher coming off a near perfect game or a near no-hitter? Do you worry about the fact that these 2 lineups both teed off yesterday? Talk to me about those 2 nuances, Tokyo.
Very, very good points to bring up, Teddy. And yes, I do generally worry when the pitcher is very close to a no-hitter or completes a no-hitter. We saw Blanco for the Astros do that earlier in the season, but he came back. He was fine. Francis, he has gone over 100 pitches twice in his last 4 starts. So I really don't worry about that. I think first 5, he's okay. I looked at the lines for outs recorded, and his is actually 18.5. So even the bookmakers think he's going to go into the 7th inning today. Both lineups did produce yesterday, but I have them both ranked 15 or lower. And I think most of the runs yesterday were due to bullpen. And both of these teams have bottom 5 bullpens. So that's why I'm eliminating the bullpens. I'm going first 5. Face it, neither one of these teams have anything to play for, but the pitchers are playing for pride, and the pitchers are playing for numbers and contracts. I've met a lot of these pitchers, and they are very selfish. They go out and they pitch for themselves, basically, most of them that I met. So, yeah, it doesn't worry me, but it's a very good point.
Tokyo Brandon joining us. Guys, when Tokyo talks baseball, you better listen. When an AI company puts out baseball picks, they're using Tokyo Brandon's brain. Now, with that said, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that my picture is of the Fonz, Henry Winkler, the Fonz from Happy Days. B Daddy writes, Tokyo Brandon looking like the Fonz from Happy Days. B Daddy, don't you dare insult the Fonz. The Fonz does not wear a hat. The Fonz does not wear glasses, let alone female glasses. The Fonz does not wear a choker when he's over the age of 12. The Fonz does not wear patented paisley shirts. Tokyo Brandon could not look any less like the Fonz. Okay, so let's put that to bed. Don't insult my hero and the man who defined cool for an entire generation. Astros money line, Tokyo. Why are you betting
I'm cool in my own way. And as a matter of fact, this is actually a Japanese demon on my necklace. But anyways, let's go Astros Padres. And by the way, like I mentioned earlier, my MLB regular season completely free if you buy my postseason. I'm number 1 in profit in 2024 at WagerTalk. Number 1 in MLB profit and all sports profit. Number 1 all sports profit 3 of the last 4 years. So it's a good package to get. Grab it at the link that's going to come up right there as you see it. My page at WagerTalk.com. Enough about that. Let's go to the Astros and Padres. Dylan Cease going against Framber Valdez. Framber Valdez, I have him ranked in top 3 MLB pitchers. He's up there with Wheeler. He's just great. And since I was a scout, I use this rating system. I have 280 something starting pitchers. I rank them on a curve of 30 so I can compare them to bullpens and lineups. And the Astros have a slightly better lineup than the Padres. Padres have a slightly better bullpen. So this is kind of a give and take there. But I have Valdez ranked way higher than Dylan Cease. I have Dylan Cease actually. Dylan Cease is kind of an enigma. He's got a good reputation, but he's got a 3.5 plus ERA with a 109 whip. So that means he doesn't put a lot of guys on base, but he does give up a few more runs than he should. And if you look at his past few performances, he's given up a 4 spot, a 3 spot, a 4 spot. But before that, he gave up 0 to the Giants. But he does tend to give up the long ball here and there, and he does tend to give up 3 or 4 runs from start to start, where Valdez does not. Valdez is a great pitcher. On a curve of 30, I have Valdez ranked 4, and I have Dylan Cease ranked 18. So starting pitchers, huge discrepancy here. Both of these teams are fighting, unlike the last breakdown I made. Both of these teams are actually playing for something. The Dodgers have the NL West lead, but the Padres are chasing them very closely, 3.5 games away with 15 games to go. So Padres can still win the NL West. So they're playing hard. Astros want to win their division. They're playing hard. But if you look at Framber Valdez, he's just a really good pitcher. He's given up 1 earned, 0, 0, 3, 0, 1, 2. I mean, he's just solid. Solid. So I like the Astros on the money line here. Slightly better lineup, much better starting pitcher. So I'm going with the Astros today. It's a good line. It's a good number. I think this is last time I checked it, it was
Tokyo Brandon. Let me guess.
Yes, sir.
You're going with the Astros today on the money line.
Good guess.
Okay.
That is correct, Chris.
Tokyo,
Fonzie Siefkin. Yeah, I got to ask you a follow-up here, Mr. Fonz, because I'm looking at the Padres since the All-Star break. They're 13-3 off a loss. I'm looking at Dylan Cease's last dozen starts. They're 9-3 in his last dozen starts. We've got San Diego off a loss. We've got Cease on the mound. They're both bet on in my mind. What makes this in a pick-em price range to be bet against for either of these? Do you worry about teams off a loss and how they do in that 13-3 record for San Diego since the break?
In 30 seconds.
A little bit, but Framber Valdez is just a different kind of pitcher. He's a top 3 pitcher in my opinion. I don't really focus too much on what happened yesterday because, as you know, in baseball, things swing back and forth. 2 teams can score 20 runs, and then the next game they'll score 0. It'll be a 1-0 game. So I don't really worry too much about that. To put it in a nutshell, I think the Astros will take care of business here because Valdez is just much better than Dylan Cease, in my opinion. It's not a 4%, 5% play here. I'm putting, I think, 1.5% on this. So make a small play on the Astros on the money line. And now you guys can talk about football.
Oh, no, Tokyo. We want you to continue the Led Zeppelin song. Ramble on! Ramble on! Okay.
You're telling me I ramble on? You have cappers on this show that go for a half hour, and you tell me I ramble on?
Well, listen, nobody rambles like Adam Trigger. Adam Trigger takes the cake. Marco D'Angelo is right there. But,
at least I'm number 1. Jesus.
Hey, you're a god to me, Tokyo. But we are going to work on your timing privately. Anyway.
Are you serious?
No.
Okay.
Dude,
okay.
All I do is make fun of you. Have you not figured out our relationship yet?
Yes, it's very give and take.
Yes. I give you shit and you take it. Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks, love you. I love you, Tokyo. Teddy covers. Yeah, I'm direct, brother. So one of the guys in the chat room said, you're the best looking dude on the show. What the hell? Blind man in the chat room, Teddy. What did bettors learn last night?
Of course, Tokyo Brandon has a great special right now. Get the rest of his Major League Baseball season free if you purchase his playoff package. It's available on his homepage right now at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/BS. Let's talk about what we learned last night. And really yesterday and today, Prez, it's been more about what you've been doing on the show. You're making apologies for talking about sports other than football. Baseball season's still going on. We talked WNBA yesterday, and damn right we are. Football is king. I get it. NFL is number 1. College football is number 2. It's been that way since the day I moved to Las Vegas in 1998. But most bettors bet sports other than football. Prez, you love NHL. I love NBA. Trigger loves college hoops. Brian Leonard loves MLB. Ron Kabang loves WNBA. Kyle Anthony loves USC. Carmine loves soccer. Lang loves NASCAR and darts and golf. And Brandon Siefkin loves Korean baseball and Japanese baseball. And I could go on. And there's passion there. You can hear it in the voices, in the analysis. Guys that know a sport, live a sport, and they're sharing that info. Make no mistake about it. We love football. I love football. I love betting on football. I love talking about football. But make no mistake about it, and no apologies for it. Wager Talk Today, it's not a football-only show. We'll do at least 50% football on every show, all 4. I'm sure we will, or 99% of the shows. But this show, I call it Sports Central for Gamblers, because that's what it is. It's not for NFL only or football only. You're going to get the potpourri. And of course, you're going to get Prez making you nuts or making you laugh. Thank you for being a part of it. Lawrence?
Theodore, listen, I want to talk about every sport. I'd love to do a show on cricket, so I'm with you.
No, Every time someone comes on and talks about something other than football, you disparage them for talking about it. You did it with Brandon today. You're like, speed it up, speed it up.
Only
Go,
Tokyo.
You did it with Ronald yesterday. You did it with Brian on Monday. You've done it every day this week where you disparage a capper for talking about something other than football. So, yes, my What Bettors Learned is pointed right at you, my friend.
Boom! Okay, new Prez. Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, welcome to Wager Talk Today. You look good, Ralph. I love this new Ralph. Tanned, fit, healthy looking, in a suit. Is it a Mont Blanc now? Have you gone up to Mont Blanc?
No, Prez, you just happened to schedule me right before Bet on It, so I have the suit on to wear on Bet on It as well. So I was going to go like this, Prez. I was going to do my top button because I was watching Monk today. I always have the TV on, and I was going to do it just because I know it drives you crazy. But it drove me crazy too, so I had to unbutton it. But there's times that you have to have discomfort if it just pisses Prez off a little bit.
Well, nothing pisses me off anymore, Ralph. I'm an old, decrepit man who's been there, done that. Let's get into some actionable information. Kansas State -6.5 against BYU. How do we bet this game?
I'm going to steal a line from our friend Drew Martin. This is the late night degenerate special. We know K-State is Kelly Stewart's team, and I will not be watching this game as it starts at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. But I do like Kansas State. To me, it's the eye test. BYU has been as impressive in anyone. In fact, there are only 12 teams this year in college football that are 3-0 straight up and 3-0 ATS like BYU. Their wins against Southern Illinois at home, 41-13. They went to SMU as a sizable dog, pulled the upset win, and then they went to Wyoming, winning by 20 last week. But when I went to the database, 3-0 teams, both straight up in ATS, since 2017 are only 25-37. That is 40.2% against the spread, or basically a 60% play against. BYU is off a game at Wyoming. We know Wyoming is 7,000 plus feet. That elevation can reach out to people. When people played at Wyoming and they play their next game without rest, since 2009, those teams are 18-38, 32.1% against the spread. And now when I look at the Wildcats, yes, they had a scare at Tulane. They were tied late. They trailed late in the second quarter, and they gave up 491 yards. But I like the way Kansas State can run the ball. All 3 games this year, they've rushed for 200-plus yards per game. All 3 games this year, 5.7 yards per carry. They're averaging 244 yards rushing and 7.0 yards per carry. And BYU, I just look at the strength of competition. I am not impressed with that very weak lineup they've played. They're still only rushing with 151 yards per game and 4.1 yards per carry. And that's with Jake Reslaf, their quarterback, the number 1 rusher on the team. So if you have a rush defense like Kansas State that has had 10 sacks this year against a team and O-line like BYU that has played weak defenses and have only given up 3 sacks, it's a situation where I am going to be backing the purple with the K-State Wildcats.
So let me ask you about BYU's home field, because obviously BYU plays in Provo, which is an altitude maybe not quite as much as Laramie, but it's certainly you're playing an altitude there. So I would think the Cougars, more than most teams, would be capable of playing one game in altitude the next week and then returning home. But BYU's home field, that's been a strong home field. I got them 20-5 straight up at home over the last 4 seasons. I have them 5-1 as home underdogs against the spread during that span. Do you worry at all that this home field on a single event game on Saturday night, that the crowd is going to be worth something, that this home field is going to be worth more than it normally is? Or is it just K-State's the better team, look for them to dominate?
Teddy, I have BYU as a 4 in home field edge, and 5's the highest. So I agree with that thought. But we're mentioning records from a few years ago. And there was a big difference with BYU being a non-conference team to now having to play in the Big 12. Teams used to make weird trips and go to the Big 12. This is just now part of your routine is the Big 12. And, yes, they may get off to a slow start. But again, this to me is an overrated team with the schedule they played, with a young quarterback who, doesn't have much experience. He came from Riverside. He was he was a lower division quarterback, had a good year at Riverside, sat here last year, played a little bit, but it's just too good of an offense, too good of a rush attack. And I don't mind playing this team and this coach on the road because I am a big fan of Kleiman, and this team is just fundamentally sound. I'm a fan of K-State.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. Ralph, before we get into your NFL game and your chart, what do you have to promote?
Well, NFL off a great 3-1 weekend. I do have a 5% NFL play up. Looking for a big college football card. I would suggest this, guys. Go in. I already have 3 plays loaded for this weekend. Buy the 3-day package for this weekend. You can click on the days you want. So get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That way you'll start getting all the plays immediately. Take advantage. WT.buzz/RM.
Awesome stuff. Okay, my brother, Pittsburgh and the Chargers. You have a bet for us on that game. What is it?
It might seem simple. Let's see. We have a Chargers team that's giving up 228 yards and 11 first downs per game. We have a Steelers team that's giving up 261 yards and 14 first downs per game. A low total, yes, but I do like under 35.5. When I look at teams since 2012, early in the season, in the first 4 games of the season, when both teams are undefeated, they've gone 28-37 over-under. That's 57% to the under. We talked often on the show, low totals are low for a reason. High totals are high for a reason. Since 2019, when you look at NFL totals of 38 or less, listen to this number, guys. They have gone 26 and 52 over under. That is 67% to the under. When we have a total of 38 or less and both teams are off a win, like we have in this game, they are 79% to the under. Offensive yards per play, Chargers, number 15, Pittsburgh, number 29. Defensive yards per game, Chargers, number 2, Pittsburgh, number 5. 3-point defense as far as allowing 3 points, first downs on third down. I can talk. Number 1 and number 2 in the NFL, they're allowing 19 and 23% of third downs to get first downs. Let me put that in perspective. Let me repeat. 19% on third downs and 23% on third downs. The Washington football team has allowed 61% of their third downs to convert into first downs. That shows you the spectrum of top to bottom in the NFL after 2 weeks. We know the Chargers are going to run the ball. Listen, Harbaugh is there. He's going to live by defense and the run attack. 27 rushes week 1, 44 rushes week 2. Justin Herbert may be banged up a bit. We'll see. Pittsburgh's offense, we know with Justin Fields, they're going to run the ball. 77 rush attempts the first 2 games. Yes, the number's low, but under 35.5, Steelers and Chargers.
So, Ralph, I'm certainly not going to make a case for the over in this ballgame, but I got to ask you about one of the things that I don't like to do very early in the season, after week 2, we start looking at statistical profiles because you have such a mismatch of who teams have played. All right. And the stats will lie based on who they play. So the Chargers have played Vegas with Minshew just finding his way, and then Bryce Young, who got benched after the game last week. The Pittsburgh played Bo Nix, and they played Kirk Cousins coming off an ACL with no preseason in his first appearance back. So neither of these 2 teams played anything resembling a decent offense in their first 2 games. I think the Chargers have a decent offense. I think the Steelers might have a decent offense. Does that worry you here that both teams stepping up in offensive class compared to what they've been facing, with the total being as low as it is.
No, Teddy, because you talked about how they played a bunch of people with bad quarterbacks, so you think the offense would be able to be successful against those teams? Justin Herbert has a YPA of 6.0. Justin Fields has a YPA of 6.3. So, yes, I can appreciate if you play Carolina, your stats are going to look great. But in this case, even though the statistical profiles are against weak foes, the way the offenses are set up and the way the defenses are set up, I am still comfortable using this under.
Yeah, and just to add my thoughts, Teddy, and I say this in the NFL presidential address, and by the way, 7,000 of you guys have already watched that. It went up last night, so thank you. Wow. Tomlin is an under coach. Like, we could sit here and talk about, what defense, what offense they've played, what defense they're played, this, that, and the other. When push comes to shove, I think Pittsburgh is the most defined team in all of football. This is a team that, whether it's Big Ben, Cordell, go back to Bill Cowher, go back to Chuck Noll or whoever it was that coached before Bill Cowher. I mean, one thing we can count on with Pittsburgh: slow, methodical, move down the field, take time off the clock, get out of Dodge with a 13-12 win. Ralph Michaels.
Pittsburgh, of course, 5-3 to the over in their last 8 games. But go on, Lawrence.
Well, that 5. Oh my God! Take the last 30 years and shove them up your tuchus.
Nobody asked you the follow-up. We asked Ralph the follow-up.
Teddy, Dan, put that
Lawrence.
up. Put that image up, Dan. Put it up. I'm waiting.
Mommy,
Okay.
Daddy,
Ralph,
stop
you got a chart
arguing.
for
There it is. There it is. The image is up. Ralph, you have a chart for us. Let's get into it, my brother.
Well, let's just talk about something simple. It's early in the year. It's week 3. We don't have great sample size, but let's look at the NFL system of the week. We are looking at winless road teams off a home loss. So, could be week 2, could be week 3, could be week 4. But if you blindly, since 2015, played every winless team on the road, if they are off a home loss, they have gone 79-43 with 3 pushes. That is 64.8%. And then when you look below, I broke them down by game number. Game number 2, game number 3, game number 4, game number 5. You see that entire stretch early in the season, very positive ATS numbers backing those teams. 4 teams apply in this situation this week. You see them there on the bottom. Baltimore, Carolina, yeah, they look like scum, but we'll see what happens. Denver and Jacksonville, those are the 4 teams that apply this week.
How did you last week? I know the long term says 38-19, 67%. Was that profitable last week if you used that for the week 2 winless teams off a home loss? Do you know that, Ralph? Sorry, I'm giving you stuff to look up.
Eddie, I don't have that offhand. I apologize. So that is something I did not look at when I was pulling the data.
No
Stump
need to
Ralph.
No
but
need
you know
to
what I will do, of
apologize,
course. I will have it in Slack for you 3 minutes after I am off the air, because it'll take me too long right now to pull up the killers to pull up the database. But as soon as I'm off, Teddy, I will have that to you, and you can share it with our viewers in just a minute.
Ralph Michaels, outstanding. We absolutely love you. You can hear him on Bet On It as well. Same with Teddy, our flagship NFL show, our flagship NFL panel show, because I'd like to think the Prez address is right up there, but that's just my stupidity. Okay, brother, we got 15 more minutes, lots of football still, lots of Teddy. If you guys want my daily presidential address, in which I think it's been decided we're going to do the Kansas City Atlanta game, please get us to 100 likes. We need 35 more. Theodore, my brother, who has annoyed the shit out of me today, what is your big game breakdown?
I'm going to talk football betting 101 with today's big game breakdown as we talk about the Seahawks and the Dolphins, and really basic strategy concepts that many bettors still don't seem to be familiar with. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Seattle minus 4.5 across the board, total sitting at 41.5 in most locations. We have seen a little bit of under money come in, and obviously you have Miami playing with a backup quarterback. Football Betting 101 says you bet on the team with the injured quarterback the first week. We saw it with Green Bay last week. What happens? Everybody steps up. You know, the guys know we got to play. We got to bring our A game. Our QB's out. Point spread value to bet on that team is at its zenith because the market's adjusting. Oh, their quarterback got hurt. Bang. You know, we better knock their priority down. In this case, it's close to a touchdown. And of course, there's not much good film oftentimes on the backup QB who's going to play in and what they want to do with him. So defenses are at something of a disadvantage in that regard. So the value lies with the team that just had the quarterback get hurt, which is Miami in this instance. Of course, Miami had extra time to repair. They're coming off a Thursday night game. Seattle's coming off an overtime game on the far coast, you know, on the East Coast. So advantage Miami in that regard. And of course, the question, you know, is Skylar Thompson good enough? You know, well, he beat out last year's number 2, Mike White, in training camp. When you hear the quotes coming out of Mike McDaniel, quote, I think the best way to articulate where we're at for the team and the organization is be very confident in Skylar. There's a reason he was our backup quarterback. So I'm believing what they're saying, and it's not like Miami is a one-person team. Of course, the pride of Kansas State, we're talking about a 27-year-old. He's not a kid. And certainly someone who I think is capable of coming in and leading Miami to a solid performance. Seattle's, 2-0. They're fat and happy. They're not a let's lay more than a field goal off an overtime win when facing a team with a backup quarterback kind of squad. And it's not that kind of spot. Seattle's banged up already. Kenneth Walker hurt, Jerome Baker, George Finn, Farrah Brown, missing key offensive pieces, missing a key linebacker. I know it's a new coach in Seattle, but this home field has not been worth much. They were 0-1 as home chalk this year, 2-4 ATS as home chalk last year. They lost twice outright, 1-4 as home chalk in 2022. Their last winning season against the spread as home favorites came in 2020, and I throw everything out from 2020 at this stage. Short and sweet. It's too many points. Miami plus is the way I'm looking, and you want to get on board, take $100 off any college football / NFL combo season pass. Just use promo code FBALL100. Again, FBALL100 at checkout is going to get you $100 off a combo season pass. Great time to get on board. And of course, we appreciate the likes. We appreciate the follows. If you have an opinion, leave a comment below. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
I'm a moron. A moron at the highest level of moron. Wait till you see what Steve Merrill looks like. Steve Merrill, everyone.
Hey.
Oh my God, dude. I double booked. Steve is mad at me. Tokyo is really mad at me. Holy crap. Oh, not my best day today, Art to Caesar. How are you, my friend?
Prez, you know what? Do you ever have a good day?
Art
Take the under.
Caesar. So now Art is mad at me?
Hold on. By the way, did you guys spell my name right today? Because on Saturday, what a disaster. Oh.
Okay, well, that ain't on me. So
I'm just
that's graphic.
Something that isn't my fault.
Company. Hey, you're an owner.
Okay, fine. The buck stops at me. Fine, I'll take it. Be mad, okay? Be mad. Oy, Lawrence Presman, not your best work today. Art to Caesar. Let's start with the Thursday night football, bro. New England, New York Jets. What are you taking? What are you seeing? What do you like? And then I'm just gonna kick back and let Teddy take over because, yeah, I'm not good today.
Well, obviously the Jets finally going and getting a win. And listen, Tennessee's no good, but any road win in the NFL is good. And I think, the defense made a couple of plays. Rodgers looked okay. Some of the weapons, especially that Braylon Allen kid from Wisconsin. Early money is on the Jets. Early money is going to be on the under as well. Primetime unders, divisional unders, all that stuff is in play. The Jets are going to be very popular to start everyone's week as far as the money line parlays go and the teasers go. We'll need New England on Thursday, no doubt about it.
So I just looked at the WagerTalk free live odds screen, and at the Westgate Silverbook, the Jets just went from -6.5 to -6 in the last half hour or so. You said that the money's coming for the favorite, but the line's moving to the dog. Explain.
So initial money came. So if they just made that move, they might have taken a respected bet. It's possible that there was a respected bet on New England at 6.5 early in the week. It was Jet money that drove it from 6 to 6.5. I just know for us, like I said, when we put all that money line parlay stuff and all the teaser stuff in that is going to start the week, like there's nothing better than having a dog come out on Thursday and win for us, because then it enables people or makes people have to jump back in with a new parlay or a new teaser or whatever it is. They're not rolling something into Sunday. Always important for us. So, yeah, I mean, obviously a half-point move is a half-point move. So they could have taken a little bit of New England money here in the last half an hour.
So pretty much every report that I've heard from bookmakers over the first 2 weekends of the NFL season is every bookmaker's whistling happily right now. Was last weekend as good as it was for you guys as it was for many bookmakers around the globe? Talk about your best results and your worst results, college and or NFL.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Teddy. It's been a really good start to the season. I mean, just college, throw a couple of games out there. South Carolina result was really good for us. It would have been a lot better if they would have won outright, but we had a really big house player come in and lay LSU -7 early in the week. It was a 5-figure bet that he laid down. And I mean, it eventually got to 6, so he got the worst of the number. So obviously LSU not covering there was really nice for us. And Notre Dame, I mean, all that money that came in on Purdue at 11, 10, I mean, that thing was 7 by kickoff, and Notre Dame basically wins by 80. That was really good for us. All the NFL stuff with all those big, basically touchdown favorites. Cowboys losing outright, Lions losing outright, Ravens losing outright. Really, really good for us in the early slate. Some things could have gone a little bit better in the afternoon. It would have been nice for Denver to come out and win outright. That would have been good for us. But overall, it was a really good both Saturday and Sunday for us.
Do you worry that the bettors that your bettors have lost all their money or losing all their money? Like when the books win big the first couple of weeks of the season, does that affect your action moving forward?
It's a great question, and it's something that has always been talked about in the risk room. Oh, now we might not see, these X amount of players because, they allocated a certain bankroll for a season, and by week 2 or week 3 of a college football season, they're already out. It happens. It is something that obviously you're into. It's funny. There are times, and we even have certain, once again, house players, that we root for sometimes to win. You kind of want them to keep rolling a little bit. We know that they're going to win some and lose some, and it's okay over the long haul. We trust our numbers and trust the way we're booking. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you need people to have money to play. So, yeah, it is something that we think about. But we also recognize, too, that the in and out traffic of people just coming in for the weekend and visiting is huge for us. You'll have groups of guys that come in for week 3, week 4, week 5, whatever the case may be. So you're always going to have a new crop of people that fly in for the weekend and want to bet some football.
Art to Caesar, everybody. Art, I don't know what's going on in the Westgate because I'm sitting in Toronto, but we've got a bunch of money coming in on the Atlanta Falcons. It's now -3.5. Is it -3.5 at the Westgate? And what do you like in this game?
It is, Prez, and obviously the Chiefs got to go on the road. The Chiefs, they've been good. They're 2-0. They probably should have lost last week. Suspicious call, as a lot of people like to talk about. And Atlanta comes off that crazy win, and it's a short week for them, but they're going to be at home. Atlanta's been such a weird team as far as what people think. There are respected people who don't like Atlanta, respected people who do like Atlanta. So obviously, anytime you're getting over a field goal, and they were getting as high as 4.5, even though it is Kansas City, you're going to see probably the initial money come in on Atlanta. And, early in the week, that's usually more sharp money than anything. By the time the public gets here, they'll lay the short number with Kansas City. I'm pretty positive of that.
We've got about 5 minutes left with legendary Las Vegas bookmaker Arthur DeCesar at ArtDice21 on Twitter. You watch how fast that starts happening, Art. They'll start, you start calling you a legend a decade into your run, and then you get to have that moniker the rest of your career if you choose. Let's talk about, of course, Art Dice 21 on Twitter. To follow Art this season, you can visit him at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. Let's start talking about the action for this week. College football. Who do the pros like? What games on all the early week parlay cards? Anything stand out to you that you like for the upcoming week? I'll sit back and take notes.
Yep. Let's start with the public. Public's got 2 games that they've eyed. They're going to lay the short number with Texas Tech at home off an enormous blowout win. And ASU's been good. ASU's undefeated, Arizona State, but they're going to lay 3 with Texas Tech. And one of the marquee games of the week, Tennessee, Oklahoma, they're going to take over 57.5. Public really thinks that the ball is going to be moving up and down the field with those 2 offenses, so no surprise there. Friday game, San Jose State took money at plus 14. Washington State's at home. That is now 12. Washington State off a big Apple Cup win against Washington. They're undefeated, but San Jose State also undefeated. Over in the Temple Utah State game, over 52, now 54. Navy took money at plus 11 at home against Memphis. That's now 9.5. Toledo, Western Kentucky, a lot of over money, 59.5 sharp, now 62. This is an interesting one because we saw groups on both sides. They laid LSU 23. This is against UCLA. That went all the way up to 25.5. We saw a group come back, another respected group, by UCLA at 25.5. It's now settled at 24. So really sharps on both sides of that game. And you got to talk the Michigan-USC game. Michigan took some money at 6. It's interesting, though. That was a look-ahead line of Michigan minus 7.5 in the summer. So that has basically flipped 2 touchdowns at home against USC. Wow, how the times have changed on that game.
Yeah, no doubt. Certainly the Wolverines in early season play have not exactly been lighting it up for their backers. Art, before we let you go, we got to talk NFL for Sunday. And I'm going to ask you the same basic question.
Can I jump in quickly?
Lawrence.
Why, thank you, brother. Okay, Art, when Waj asks a question, we're going to ask it because he's in the chat room every day of his life. USC, Michigan, he wants to know what he should do in that game.
It's interesting, Prez. It's the game that I just touched on. In the summer, Michigan was a 7.5 point favorite. I mean, that's
well. I was answering.
Well, now Michigan's
he finishes talking about USC, Michigan, and then you're like, "Let me ask a question. What's up with USC, Michigan?" It's like if you listen to Art talk, you don't need to ask the question. But Art,
it's not a good day for me.
So shut up and let me conduct the interview.
To give it again, USC in the summer is a 7.5 point look ahead line, where we put up our games of the year. Michigan's laying 7.5 at home to USC. In a couple of weeks into the season, USC looks great. Michigan doesn't look good. Michigan's now a 6-point dog. That's a 2-touchdown flip. This is an interesting game. It feels like USC is the right side, but this also feels like a come-to-Jesus moment for Michigan. They better play well at home, and they're getting a whole mess of points. So if you still believe in Michigan, you probably take the points. To me, I would stay away from the game.
Sure, and of course, Michigan making the quarterback switch this week as well. Orgy getting the start, who is clearly the best name in all of college football. Lawrence, you just said you wouldn't say another word, and then somehow you did. Art, before we let you go, let me get some NFL information from you, and it's the same basic question. Early in the week, who do the pros like? Who's on all the parlay cards? What stands out to you?
Absolutely. Public's going to lay a couple of home favorites. They're going to lay the Bills -5 against Jacksonville. They're going to lay the Bucks -6.5. So 2 there, and I believe Buffalo's one of the 2 Monday night games. Bucks are playing the Broncos. Yes. Broncos have looked awful. So obviously you got a doubleheader Monday night game as well. That's the Bills as well. Couple of unders to look at. I know Ralph touched on this game. Steelers took tremendous under money early in the week. Under 38, under 37.5. We went to as low as 35.5. We've seen a little bit of buyback. It's creeped up back a point, so it's 36.5. But all the initial money was on the under. Cardinals, very popular, and they've been popular all year. Cardinals catching 3.5 at home. It's now 3. They're playing the Lions. Look-ahead line on that game was 4.5. So, obviously, the Cardinal power rating has been driven up a little bit. Not that the Lions has dropped. It's just the Cardinals have been better than expected. Browns, Giants, 2 ugly offensive teams. No surprise, under money's come in on under 40. 38.5. And a game you got to talk about because it's in town, but also because of the quarterback switch and the line movement. Panthers at Raiders. That was 7. The Dalton news comes out. That goes to as low as 4.5. Goes to 5, 5.5. That's bouncing around. Total goes from 37.5 to 41. Panthers actually have a guy who could probably move the ball. He's a veteran. Bryce Young's been awful. So a lot of Panther money and a lot of over money on that game with the Panthers in Vegas playing the Raiders.
Strong info every week from Art DeCesar. He does it on our show every Wednesday. He does it on WagerTalk Last Call over the weekend. We are very appreciative of having him on twice a week, the WagerTalk family of shows. Art, what do you have to promote before we let you go?
Come down to the Westgate, guys. Listen, we're still running a great app promotion. You know, new users, bet 100, get 100. Very simple. It takes about 5-10 minutes to sign up for the app. If you ever have any questions about that, if I'm at the Westgate, which I usually am during football season, come in, ask for me. I'll pop out. You know, I'll give you any information you need, whether it's the app, how to get seating, where the sheets are, whatever it may be. So come in, you know, get signed up, come in and ask for me, and I'll be more than happy to help.
Art DeCesar will be the first one to tell you it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Thanks for joining us, Art. And that's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel. Stay tuned right now if you want Lawrence's presidential address coming up as soon as I finish talking. Thanks for watching.
Okay, everybody, it's time for your daily presidential address, and we've got a different plan today. I was going to talk about Kansas City and Atlanta. We're going to save that for tomorrow as I completely messed up. Steve Merrill joining us. We got 2 games to talk about. You put the work in. We changed everything around. We can't not have Steve Merrill. Steve, we've got 5 minutes, brother. There'll be no follow-ups. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
So this is the vice presidential address. I feel privileged. It's like, Prez, I can hear your Kansas
Secretary
City,
of
Atlanta, man.
State.
I'm good. I'm working all afternoon, buddy. I don't want to short you. And I was laughing because I'm going to do the Kansas City baseball game. You said you're about to do Kansas City. I was like, don't tell me he's talking the same game I'm about to talk, because that would have been very apropos with how today has gone.
Brother, we'll save it for tomorrow. Tigers at Royals. You want to talk Kansas City. You are an incredible bettor. Everybody wants to hear what you have to say. How are we going to bet this one?
So we're going to get to this game in a second, but I want to use it as a big picture learning example. You know, I was on a 29-7 baseball run entering last night. And of course, it was $5 Tuesday for everybody at wagertalk.com, which means thousands, if not thousands of people are having in to get those $5 plays from everybody. And I had the Royals last night. It was actually during that 29-7 run. I think it's the only time I've laid more than like $1.30 on any game. They were around $1.55. And of course, it doesn't come through. And that's just how it works. And it's just a perfect example of what I told everybody in the videos yesterday was don't buy the $5 play. Get a longer-term subscription and play consistently every day. So we'll see if people listen or not, Prez. I'll let you chime in on that real quick before we get to the analysis. But it's what I call the kiss of death, right? 29-7 run. And then you have that $5 play, and everybody, of course, probably jumps in and gets the solo game only.
Yeah, and we see it on our $2 Tuesdays, right? And there's so much freaking pressure too. But Steve, both you and I know the only way to win buying sports handicappers is to buy long term, and especially with you, man. But we've got literally 3.5 minutes left. So who's winning this game? And then we'll take apart Iowa and Minnesota in college football.
So to kind of transition on that result last night, the Royals were in a very good spot, obviously. I liked them. They were favored, and they come up flat. And that's always a huge red flag for me in any sport, not just baseball. And now Kansas City has lost 3 straight, and they are up against it tonight as a home dog. Huge line adjustment based on last night's game, and that's because Hubel's on the mound for the Tigers. He's been fantastic this season, a 2.5 ERA, and going back to the start of August, 2.3. So he's been even better down the stretch. Alec Marsh, meanwhile, a 4.5 ERA since early July in his last 7 starts. Bad sign that the Royals lost last night. That was the spot. I do not trust them tonight. Lay the short favorite with the Detroit Tigers on the road.
There we go. Take the Tigers, everybody. Let's talk some college football. Iowa at Minnesota. Normally, over the last many years, you would just bet the under and go to sleep. Where are you going in this game?
That's exactly why I wanted to talk about this game. Iowa last year finished on a 9-under run, the last 9 games of the season. We saw totals in the 20s, and they were still going under. In fact, they didn't score a single point in their final 2 games of the season. The Big Ten championship game, of course, against eventual national champs Michigan, and then also the bowl game they got shut out. They got rid of the head coach. Friends' son was the OC. He's gone. So there's a lot of optimism this year in Iowa, when they look good in the first week. And then I took them in week 2 as a 2.5-point favorite against Iowa State, and they blew a 13-0 lead. Now, if you had told me they were going to have a 13-0 lead against Iowa State with that incredible defense, I would have liked it even stronger. Ended up losing by a point. They missed a field goal late. I'm 5-1, by the way, the last 2 Saturdays in college football and all other best bets. You can see why I'm a little bitter about that one. This is an Iowa team I think is very talented still on defense. The offense is improved, but they're on my do-not-touch list. So instead, I'm going to look at the total. I'm going to look at the under here. I think the fact that some of these early games have been higher scoring has actually gotten people off that under train. And as Ralph Michaels, who was on earlier, always talks about, the lowest games go under, the highest totals go over.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to play some Iowa unders. This is still a really good defensive team.
Steve Merrill, everyone. Steve, again, I apologize about what happened today. Double booked, but it happens. We got it all taken care of. Guys, tomorrow I'll do a nice long daily presidential address. But all my NFL plays are up on the NFL presidential address. I'm literally just regurgitating information that is there. The NFL presidential address is only 15 minutes long. Yeah, Teddy. Thanks for watching, everyone. Steve, thank you, brother. Keep kicking ass.